welcome back to the Penalty Kick Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Geo, and we're doing a special San Diego Wave FC episode because the Wave actually do not have a game this weekend. The reason they don't have a game is because it's the international break. So the women are going to be balling with their national teams this weekend. That means we have to wait until April 12th to see our Wave back in action against Kansas City, and it'll be a home game at Snapdragon Stadium. Can't wait for that. But don't forget, I won't be able to make the April 12th game. They got me working. I have to work Triton days on April 12th. So sadly, I won't be able to make it. But because I won't be able to make it, I'm doing an absolutely free giveaway of my 2 season tickets in the lower level section on the April 12th game. All you have to do, this is completely free, no gimmicks, no nothing like that. You don't need to like, you don't need to comment, you don't need to subscribe, you don't need to share. This is not run through YouTube. There are no sponsors. This is just something I want to do for all the people that have been supporting me. So free ticket giveaway, and all you have to do is go to the penaltykickpodcast.com. On the front page, there's a little sign up where you just send me an email, say, hey, interested in the Wave tickets, and I'll do a drawing on April 9th, and I'll be reaching out to the individual who wins. Completely random drawing. So there's actually not too many people that have signed up, so the odds are in your favor. If you would just like to be included in this free ticket giveaway, please go to the penaltykickpodcast.com. You don't need to do anything. I'm not going to spam you. Nothing like that. Just want to say, hey, let's support our women's soccer, and I love the Wave FC, so let's support Wave FC. Free giveaway. Again, not through YouTube or anything like that. Completely free. But since there is no game this weekend, that also means there's going to be international games on TV this week. The U.S. women's national team will be balling it up against Brazil at SoFi Stadium later today. I'm filming it on the Saturday. It's at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can catch it on TV. I believe it's going to be on Peacock as well. So catch the game. I'll be watching the game. I love watching the U.S. women's national team. And one thing to really look forward to, for me at least, in this game is one of my favorite ballers is coming back on the scene. Glad she is back because she's coming off injury, and she is one of the triple espresso. This is Trinity Rodman, absolutely a baller. When you see her on the pitch, she is absolutely filthy, and I absolutely love watching her play. The other 2 triple espresso will not be there, but hopefully Rodman gets some, playing time because she just recently came back for her NWSL squad. Also, I was reading a little bit about Trinity Rodman and the injury, and it's super sad to hear that she says she'll never be back at 100%. The back injury won't be fully healed. It's just something that she will have to manage as she continues her career. So I just hope, she can kind of manage that and not, re-injure it or have to miss time continually because of it. So sending her the best, sending her sustained health. Hopefully she can continue to ball out, not only for her NWSL squad, even though it's not the Wave, but I hope she continues to ball out for the U.S. women's national team. So I hope to get to see at least a little bit of her today versus Brazil. But getting back to some, San Diego Wave news, something I found super interesting, and I was kind of just reading up back on the Wave and reading about the international break. We have 11 San Diego Wave FC players that are going to their national teams that will be on their international squads. That is an insane amount of players on your roster to be called up to the national team. I mean, 11 players is literally a full squad on a pitch. So it shows you the level of talent we have on the Wave FC team, which is a lot of new talent that we brought in from overseas. So that is absolutely awesome to see. That's absolutely awesome to be able to follow those players as they go into this international break. But there was something I found even more interesting because I was looking at the U.S. women's national team roster. None of those 11 players that are going to their national teams from the Wave are on the U.S. women's national team roster, which is very different from our last generation of our team, because we were tops in the NWSL. We were fighting consistently for playoff positioning, fighting consistently. We won the NWSL Shield, won the Champions Cup, right? We were at an absolute monster of a team, and we were a staple in the NWSL, the top echelon of the NWSL. Obviously, last year was not that, and we did a complete roster rebuild. But if you remember those past teams, Alex Morgan, the GOAT, of course, Alex Morgan would be called up to the U.S. women's national team. Also, Girma, Shaw were consistently called up to the U.S. women's national team, and that's not what's happening right now. Also, just an aside, Shaw is on the U.S. women's national team roster, but Girma is not. Probably Girma wants to rest up. I know Girma had a small injury early in the season for Chelsea FC, so I can understand that. But it is just so interesting to see this massive change, not only for our culture, but for our rosters, our coaching, our president. We did a complete rebuild, but it is very impressive how we facilitated that rebuild and how quickly the rebuild happened. Yes, one down year, but the next year we're looking so much better. And it just shows that we have such great international talent on our squad, and not only great international players on our squad, we have a great international coach on our squad. So kudos to the front office for making some tough decisions. I didn't know how I felt when we traded Girma. I don't know how we felt when we traded Shaw. I don't know how we were going to look considering Alex Morgan retired, right? Like, there were so many question marks, and we looked horrible last year. I have to call a spade a spade. It was tough to watch. I love watching soccer. I love watching winning soccer, especially when it's your team, obviously, absolutely. So to see that rebuild, to see the international talent, to see what we have going for us in the cultural change is absolutely phenomenal. So kudos for the individuals that had to make really tough decisions that were probably not going to be popular initially, but how you dispel those worries is by showing up on the pitch, and the Wave have absolutely done that. Also, before I get into just a quick roster update, I want to do a couple quick shout outs. Lynn, if you are watching, you have been absolutely awesome to communicate with, to talk everything San Diego Wave FC. I can't always talk San Diego Wave FC with everyone that I know, so it is awesome to find people that watch the game in depth, that are invested in this team as much as you are. So Lynn, big shout out to you. I hope we can connect one day. I hope we can continue to talk soccer. And I promise, I need to check myself, but I promise to hopefully make it to one of the watch parties for one of our away games really, really soon. So I hope to see you there. Hopefully we can continue to talk soccer. Hopefully it just keeps on going, because I love watching San Diego Wave. I've been a supporter since they've come here. I've been a multiple year season ticket member. So I absolutely love that. But also another shout out, and you have to do a big shout out to them. San Diego Sirens, they're the supporters group for the Wave. Again, I've been a season ticket holder for many years, and I've seen them build a wonderful supporters group, a wonderful supporters section. They're not only doing wonderful things as, leading chant lines and leading the drums and everything of that nature, creating an absolutely phenomenal atmosphere in the supporters section at Snapdragon, but they're also doing events. They're also organizing volunteer opportunities. They're also organizing the away watch parties with local community, businesses. So it is absolutely awesome to watch. And another big shout out, I would have caught 0 minutes of the preseason at the Coachella Valley Invitational if it wasn't for the San Diego Sirens posting it on their Insta. So I cannot be more grateful to y'all for that, because again, I'm a absolute soccer fanatic, and I would have hated not to see what kind of our new squad looked like with all those new players. So that is just absolutely phenomenal. Oh yeah. And let me just tell you, Mike G, he is Siren now. So, I had to, put my money where my mouth was, and I had to join this awesome organization. And, they've just hit everything on the nose for me as far as how they treat individuals that sign up, as a supporter, that donate to the nonprofit. They sent me this scarf, right? They sent me a thank you card. I can be part of their Patreon to get all their news and updates. Also, I get all their news and updates because I follow them on Instagram. I also, I'm signed up via the email, and they break news far earlier than I do. So let's call that and call that a spade. They break news about our signings. They break news about everything that's happening. San Diego Wave. So go support them. Go sign up to their Instagram. If you have $30 to spare, go sign up and be part of a great organization. So look them up. San Diego Sirens, SD Sirens. They are awesome. I hope to be more involved with them as well. I want to go to the watch parties, and, I'll be at the games. Like I said, I'm a season ticket holder, so I need to go sit in their section one day. I get a little lazy when I want to sit, in the seat and walk around, but I need to join that supporter section one day, and we need to go crazy together. So shout out SD Sirens. Again, please, please, please support them. They're a nonprofit organization. All the money that you give to them, again, you get really cool stuff. You get really cool access, but that money goes back into the organization, goes back into, really the club events that they promote and that they do. So please, please, please support them. Just absolutely phenomenal. So shout out San Diego Sirens. All right. Now we need to get back to the update. And this was something that very interesting. I don't always do player updates, especially, sometimes players that are picked up and are going to be more a long-term project of a player, in the sense maybe it's a young player and they're bringing him in. But this player, I think, can kind of have I don't want to say an instant impact, because you got to integrate into the team. But this player, I think, is a really good player. And I think the team knew they needed this type of player. So Daniela Arias de Colombia, she is a center back. She adds a lot of depth to our defense. And, watching just our recent games, looking at the roster breakdown that I have on my little Excel sheet and my little research sheet, I do think that the weakest level of our team is our back line. It's just not the strongest part of our team. I think we have phenomenal attacking. I think our midfield is so solid as well. Obviously, Sheridan, probably one of the best, if not the best goalkeeper in the NWSL. But I do think our back line is where it is our weakest point of the team. And I'm not saying that we're just absolutely weak, but I do think we do need improvement. So I do think this was a strategic move on the part of the San Diego Wave and their ownership and their front office, because, hey, we were 1-0 up against LA City, but it ended a 1-1 tie. Then we were up 2-0 versus the Utah Royals, but they came back to tie up the game before we won it late. So we have had issues on our defensive back line. Also, we gave up a penalty, even though it was a very, very soft penalty. We gave up a penalty against Orlando Pride, even though we absolutely deserved more from that game. Also, one player, and I hate to just, shout out or, kind of focus on one player, but Lundqvist has had, a little bit of struggles in the right back position. Was called for encroachment on the missed penalty kick by Marta. So I think it is a solid pickup. This player, again, adds depth, but more than adds depth, they add experience. They are 30 years young. They've played in leagues in Colombia. They've played in leagues in Brazil. So she just came from Corinthians Femenino, which is a big, big club over in Brazil. Those leagues are very scrappy, gritty, tough. The Colombian national team, which she has played for, is a very, very tough team, gritty team. And I love that, I love that at every position, but I love that at the defensive position, especially center back, especially. So she will bring much needed experience to our back line, a veteran presence that she can help the young individuals on the back line continue to grow. But how does this move potentially change anything on our team? I don't think the change happens immediately. I do think there needs to be an integration. I do think Arias needs to kind of build within the team and obviously understand what Eidval wants out of her and her as a center back. But this might change the lineup just a little bit. And the reason I say that is maybe if, Lundqvist continues to struggle, how do we then change the lineup to make sure maybe, hey, Lundqvist, take a little bit of time. I believe Lundqvist is 22 or 23 years old, very, very young, right? So she's continuing her development as well. But what I think could happen is Arias moves into the center back position next to Wesley, because I think Wesley has played really, really good even as a young player. Then McNabb, who was at center back, moves to a defensive wing position because McNabb has experience on the defensive wing just as much as she has experience as a center back. So that would move her to either right back or left back opposite of Maroney. The problem is McNabb and Maroney are both left-footed players. So that's the natural position for a defensive wing player with the left foot is the left back position. Maroney has been playing left back. McNabb has experience at left back. So I don't know if this will happen, but when I was just kind of thinking like, hey, sometimes you need to make some changes. Sometimes players kind of fall down in form, or sometimes players just need a little bit more time to grow. This might be kind of the solution that Eidval might look at. Not only that, Arias brings a little bit more size. The Wave have listed her at 5'7". On Wikipedia, she's listed as 5'9". Hey, maybe let's go 5'8", just to split the difference. That would put Arias as one of the tallest players, if not the tallest player on our back line. So she'll bring a little bit more height, bring physicality and a veteran presence on the back line, which I do think our team needs. So I'm excited to see how the team uses our new players if she gets a chance to start once she's kind of fully integrated into the team. It's going to be exciting to see. I was really excited about this pickup. I'm doing it a little bit late. Again, San Diego Sirens not only welcomes individuals, when they get off the plane, which is absolutely awesome. I catch those videos all the time, but San Diego Sirens also sent me information that this player was coming to our squad. So again, sign up for the San Diego Sirens if you have a chance. Instagram, sign up to be one of the supporters, get yourself a scarf, but we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens on April 12th against Kansas City. I'll bring you the match preview, and I'm actually thinking of doing a U.S. Women's National Team episode to see, and break down how, Emma Hayes, puts her team together, considering she doesn't have per se maybe all of their starters. Again, not everyone in the Triple Espresso will be there. I didn't see Rose Lavelle, who's another one of my just absolutely most favorite players, one of the smoothest individuals on a ball I have ever seen. So thank y'all so much for tuning in to the Penalty Kick Podcast with Mike Geo. Thank you for supporting your Wave FC. Continue to support the San Diego Sirens and the U.S. Women's National Team. So see y'all next time, and vamos Wave. Let's go U.S. Women's National Team as well.